Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Trina Duhart here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 6 of season 2 of What If Uraraka was an Electromaster? I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. It was all my fault. The flame across the facility spread far and wide. The shots could also be heard. A war between soldiers was raging on, those controlled and those that weren't. If only I had done things differently, then we wouldn't have reached this stage. Many years ago, at a facility under Dr. Garaki's care, a young Misaki was being used day in and out to test out her quirk. Its potential intrigued every scientist in the facility, so they abused it to no end. They first built helmets to block mental out from controlling them, and then they made it so lower-ranked staff members were used as guinea pigs for the young girl's quirk. Today, they were messing with the newer recruit by making him think that he was eating a melon while, in reality, he was eating apples, which he hated with a passion. After the newbie was released from the quirk, he noticed that he was eating his most hated dish, so he puked all over the table. All those in charge laughed and praised Shokuho for yet another great showing of her prowess. It seems that your power is going quite well, once exterior is completed. A female scientist led little Misaki to her next assignment.
Do I really need that?
The girl asked with a hint of annoyance. Don't say that, you gain a lot from this project, the scientist responded.
Sure, because slicing a part of my brain off was such a great experience.
The sassy girl kept to herself as she followed the woman. And once they reached the stairs, the mind hacker got an idea.
So, can I go home for today?
No, there is someone we would like for you to meet first, the scientist replied. The female lead took Mental out upstairs and left her in front of a locked door.
I've never been allowed on the upper floors before.
Misaki was looking around in awe as this was her first time experiencing the sight of a restricted area. As the child was lost in wonder, the scientist opened the door and ensured everything was in order before letting Shokuho in. Allow me to introduce her. She's the prototype, aka Dolly. The woman stood aside, and a girl around Misaki's age was holding what seemed to be a glass container with a weird gray liquid inside.
Prototype?
The curious yet disinterested blonde wondered as she stared at the chestnut-colored haired girl in front of her, who, after noticing this, turned her face away not to face her anymore.
How unsociable! And she's meant to be around my age.
Come on, greet her properly. The adult began to pull the young one off her seated position, but this caused the robe to slip off, and the many scars embedded in her skin were revealed to the world.
No! No!
The poor prototype desperately screamed as she tried to cover herself again. Misaki couldn't understand why this kid had made such an uproar about a mere wardrobe malfunction. But soon, Shokuho was left petrified as she witnessed machines and wires protruding from many areas in the crying girl's torso.
Don't look!
The crying only intensified as the seconds passed. Oh dear. Well, it saves having to explain it. She was born with a certain disease, so she cannot live without those machines embedded in her body. The woman explained in a rather cold tone. Where exactly was her humanity? Soon enough, she left, and only the two kids remained in the room. It was a playroom with many toys and a great look at the outside world through the windows on the side. Dolly was still hiding her face while Misaki was beside her, leaning against the wall.
Sorry, I disturbed you, don't I?
Not really, Shokuho admitted.
Yes, I do. I always do.
The prototype cried as she squeezed her arm.
I had a friend. I'm not allowed to leave this place, so she would come to visit me every day. We talked about a lot of things and had a lot of fun. But then, one day, she saw my exposed body. She stopped coming after that.
The girl once more began to sob.
Why do I have this body? Even my only friend thought it was disturbing. I want to see her again.
Shokuho could only look down at her, saddened by all this. She didn't know how to respond to something like this. But that wouldn't be a problem for long, as the same scientists from before soon got her out of there and brought her to another room on the floor beneath.
Granny Chio, you work here too?
Misaki exclaimed upon seeing her grandmother beside the head doctor Kyudai Garaki. Calm down, child. There's something we need to discuss first, the older lady mentioned, and the female scientist left the room. Now only Garaki, Shineji, and Shokuho remained.
So, before that, can you explain to me why you decided to introduce me to that girl?
The young girl pointed, demanding a response.
We are taking some data from Dolly,
The old man explained and then continued.
but the shock of losing her friend is preventing us from taking accurate reading. We want you to return peace to her mind. Will you help us?
Why me, eh? Just bring her friend back to her and everything will be fine!
Shokuho shouted. That cannot be done, Misaki, the saddened old lady said as she looked towards her superior.
As Dr. Shuneji said, we cannot arrange that. The friend she spoke about is no longer among the living. Due to complications with her quirk, she had to be put down.
This unexpected answer left Mental out angry.
So you just killed her off! You sick freaks!
Keep that up and you'll be next, Mental out.
The geezer threatened.
I recommend you think of your next choice of words very carefully.
The unfazed granny added while looking at her hot-tempered grandchild.
You're just gonna let them get away with it, Granny? Following their every order? What else can you expect from the person who placed you in here in the first place, Misaki? She's beyond caring.
The child only held it in as she prepared herself for what came next.
So, why even ask me? Your lapdogs are always testing me, so you should know that I can't erase or rewrite the memories of a friend in their entirety with my current power.
A quick laugh escaped the evil doctor, and then he replied,
Yes, but you can instead.
A week later, the blonde knocked on the door, and after doing so 3 times, she entered.
Excuse me.
The now flustered girl said as she looked ahead.
You came today too, me-chan!
Just as the doctor planned, these interactions between Shokuho and Dolly were healing the prototype's heart. Those two became friends. One was less enthusiastic about it, though. Dolly was blowing up bubbles all over the room while Misaki just watched.
Why am I doing this? What's so fun about it?
Mental out couldn't understand why this was meant to cause the other girl to laugh so much. But then Dolly blew too hard and her face was engulfed with many bubbles. The girl only giggled as the entire room got filled with all those bubbles she accidentally created.
Honestly, what are you doing?
Misaki asked, but as the prototype looked at her with the bubbles encompassing her face, the blonde couldn't hold it back anymore.
Are we really the same age?
Shokuho asked, cleaning the tears that had come out. She was actually smiling. The now flustered Dolly cleaned herself up and responded with a pouty face.
That's what the doctors say, but they have never told me my age. And I haven't gone to school either, so I can't make a guess. You're not missing much,
Misaki admitted, remembering her school experience.
You don't like school, Mi-chan? Not really. My quirk tends to alienate me.
Mental out confessed. This is how she felt.
Alienate?
Dolly asked. She had never heard that word before.
I guess that it's something similar to being disliked. Eh? But I love your quirk!
The young girl exclaimed and pulled up her precious glass jar.
Go on, use it, okay? No! I was told to stop using my power so much.
Shokuho lied with a straight face. It was the only way to keep up the ruse.
Huh? No fair.
The girl became a bit mopey and placed the jar back on the floor.
I wonder what it looks like outside the lab.
Dolly then said out loud.
I want to see the ocean. Tough luck. We're nowhere near it. Besides, the city checkpoint is too strict for us to get out of it. But if you do get permission to leave, I could take you there. If I'm free, of course.
With a smile, Shokuho told her friend.
Yay! Thanks, Mi-chan!
With a hug, Dolly lunged at her friend and held her tightly. But at that point, she noticed the scent once more. It hadn't been the first time, but by now it was more than evident to her.
Wait, what are you doing?
Shokuho shot out as the taller girl began to snuff out the top of her hair.
Nothing.
The prototype responded with a smile. She now knew the truth. More days of happy games transpired, and the two girls got even closer. Even if it had been fabricated at first, by now it felt genuine.
Yay! I win again!
Dolly announced she had won the game of life once more.
No fair! You were behind me, so how did he even get past me? I had even become a pilot, too.
Mental out complained with her arms crossed over her chest. This wasn't the first time she had been defeated like this, and it was annoying. While that was going on, Dolly had chugged the rest of her water bottle, and once done, she threw it at the nearby trash bin, making it go in just like a basketball.
Yes! Score! Hey, that's rude! You always walk right up to it, don't you? Of course I do!
And just like that, Shokuho's rant began. Being a lady was a top priority for her, so she couldn't let this slide. Still, most of these words were lost on her friend, who filtered them out.
You're just jealous because you can't make the shot.
Huh? The little one stood up offended. Of course I can! That could not be easier!
Really?
Dolly teased with a smile which set Misaki off. Here, just watch! Mental Al exclaimed as she chugged an entire water bottle and then threw it towards the bin with a loud, there! But she had thrown it so high that it hit the top of the door instead. She turned fully red as she heard her friend let out a long sigh behind her.
My finger got stuck that time!
This was her first excuse as she picked up the bottle once more and threw it but failed, hitting the wall instead.
I forgot to take all resistance into account!
The blonde then shouted, picking up the bottle and throwing it once more, yet failing all the same.
Ah! Something got in my eye!
The little one kept trying without a hint of giving up, but the excuses she formulated kept raining down.
I'll definitely get it this time!
The now fatigued Misaki announced as she took a step forward once more.
You keep moving closer to it with every meal.
Dolly pointed out to herself as she saw her friend stepping ever closer to the trash bin.
Oh, seriously? Good luck!
Dolly told her, but then an intense pain began to surface on her chest, and she began clutching it. Unexpectedly, the next throw was successful, even though it had been from less than a foot away, but this left Shokuho flabbergasted.
I made it! Did you see, Dolly? When I actually try?
But upon looking behind her, all she could see was her friend on the floor, holding her chest tightly.
Dolly!
Misaki screamed and rushed her aside. Minutes later, both girls were taken to the medical room. The chestnut-colored haired prototype wasn't looking that well anymore.
Hold it together! You can't!
Her voice was shaky. Dolly then began speaking quietly, and this made Shokuho get closer to hear her.
Please tell me your name.
Mental Out grabbed the girl's hand and spoke.
It's Misaki! Shokuho Misaki!
Tears were now coming out of those starry eyes of hers. Hearing this, Dolly gave out a big smile with her remaining strength.
Misaki, thanks for being my friend.
As medical personnel took her away, Dr. Garaki stood beside Mental Out.
She'll be fine, right? She'll be back soon, right?
The hopeful girl cried out for reassurance that her friend would be all right.
No, this is the last time you'll see prototype Dolly.
This reveal made Shokuho Misaki break inside, and her gaze switched to looking straight at the doctor. Those once starry eyes were now empty and lifeless.
Her body had been malfunctioning for quite some time, but she fought it until the very end. She knew that her fate was near, and even then, she smiled. Dolly has served us well, but this is the end. She'll be disposed of like the rest.
The evil doctor stated and then left the distraught girl behind. The rain had only intensified since, and hours later, the same female scientist who introduced her to Dolly came to tell her that her friend had died. Shokuho cried in silence as she was left alone in the room that both girls had played in for so long.
I promise that I'll make them pay! Garaki, Shineji, everyone! I'll make all your plans burn away!
And from the inside, they did begin to burn as Misaki took control of most of the scientists related to the exterior project, brainwashing them to the core before moving on to her next target, the base template for her deceased friend, Ochako Uraraka. As the battlefield raged on, Shokuho stared at the two cultivated brains inside the containment units. This was exterior.
It's been 3 years, but you're still intact. I'm sorry, but that will not be the case for long.
As she placed one of her gloved palms on the glass while the other sported one of her controllers.
You indeed granted me more power, but it has become so risky to leave you to fall to his hands. Doing this risks crippling my brain forever, but what other choice do I have?
She was beginning to tremble, but her last memory of Dolly surfaced, pushing her to go through with it.
You're right, Dolly. I can't stop here. I'll bet my future on the off chance that I can ruin theirs.
And just like that, she pressed the middle button, executing the self-destruct sequence. Immediately, she fell to her knees as a massive headache attacked her very head. The two cultivated brain halves soon dissolved into nothingness, and it was done.
Self-destruct sequence completed,
Misaki announced as she slowly got back up. It was unknown if she had suffered any damage.
Lady Shokuho,
one of the controlled soldiers called out. He had a tablet and was about to hand it over.
What is it? Classified intel has been found.
he answered and handed over the device to his master. Misaki quickly read through it and first displayed a look of shock, which morphed into a smile soon after. Good work, your services are no longer needed. She then added as she began to walk off. She now had a location to visit. The soldier then pulled out his pistol and shot himself in the head. At that moment, as she kept moving forward, Mental Alt's phone played a pre-recorded message. This video is sponsored by Adobe. Adobe is redefining the digital experience through game-changing innovations that shape the next generation of storytelling. Adobe makes it easy to create, edit, and share digital documents securely, allowing you to collaborate and communicate across devices. Adobe Photoshop is your go-to application for raster graphics editing and digital art as a whole. And we, the Celestials, our thumbnails across every channel are created with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Premiere Pro is a timeline-based and non-linear video editing software application that is versatile and easy for beginning and master editors. Finally, Adobe After Effects is the industry standard tool for digital visual effects, motion graphics, and compositing applications used in post-production. Many of our voice actors, audio editors, and video editors use Premiere Pro and After Effects to produce these high-quality videos. Click the link in the description to start creating now, and thank you to Adobe for sponsoring this video. In the broken mind of a girl called Mitori Kozaku, the memories from years ago, before imprisonment, kept playing repeatedly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See you again next time.
The young child told those that kept conducting tests on her day after day. It was just a facade that she had created.
Acting so nice for the experiments is exhausting.
But she was interrupted by someone behind her pressed against the glass. A muffled
Railgun!
could be heard from the other side.
Dolly, you know you shouldn't do that.
The purple-haired girl shouted.
The best way to get by on these facilities is to be liked by the teachers. It's a lie that effort is rewarded. Just as your education determines your career, this research center determines our future. I had grown quite used to making fake smiles so they would like me. But I didn't expect to have that girl forced on me because of it. From then on, I was with her except during experiments. Mitori Kozaku, then I'll call you Mi-chan.
The happy girl told her, giving her a cute nickname.
She's so sheltered. So why can't you go outside?
She initiated a different topic.
They're healing me.
Dolly explained.
Healing her? But this is a Quirk Evolution Institute. Apparently, it will help my little sister.
The prototype added.
Oh, so you have a sister then? Yeah, but I've never met her.
A bit embarrassed, she admitted, placing her hand on the back of her head, but she continued.
If they can heal me, they promise I can have a bunch of little sisters. What does that even mean?
Their playtime continued, and with her quirk, Kozaku formed dolphins inside the container half filled with liquid metal.
Wow, it's so pretty!
The loud girl exclaimed.
It's not that interesting. You can see real ones if you go to the ocean.
Mitori pointed out.
The ocean! I read about it in a book, and it's tons of water! At first, I wonder why I had to deal with such a stupid girl.
Why do you have to hug me all the time? The hug girl cried out as the bigger girl held her close and started sniffing as well. And don't smell me, it's creepy!
I like how people smell, and yours is a warm one, Mi-chan.
This comment made Mitori blush, and she looked away.
Yet you smell like chemicals.
As revenge, the metal bender pinched the taller girl's nose to make her stop that affectionate hold.
Mi-chan?
The girl tried to say, but it was almost incomprehensible. That's what happens when you don't listen, Mitori proudly stated with a smile.
Whenever I was with her, I felt that my fake smiles became real. But then, one day, everything changed. I had gotten out of my experiment early, so I went to visit her. I was so happy, thinking we would play lots of games, but as I opened the door, I was shocked. No!
The very conscious girl cried out as she tried to cover herself.
What is that?
Kozaku wondered as she tried to understand why machines were hanging out of her friend. A female head scientist that was there got annoyed by the uninvited guest, so she made it known. Please leave at once, she said and grabbed the girl's hand, taking her out and closing the room behind them. You heard that she is being treated here, correct? She requires a life support device to live, the rude woman explained before leaving the area.
Life support. I was so naive, thinking that I could make a difference.
infiltrating the data room to find out what was wrong with my friend. It was stupid. So stupid. Please stop Dolly's medication! Little Midori cried out to Dr. Kyudai Garaki, who was about to enter an elevator.
I was informed that someone broke into the data room, so that was you. In that case, I'll assume that you found out what she is.
His eyes were hidden behind his shiny eyewear. Dolly is a clone! An experimental prototype to research more long-lasting clones for mass production! You've been ignoring her health, pumping her full of all sorts of chemicals to gather data! And all that forced medication has shortened her already short life! The girl had to stop momentarily. She was out of breath, but once she got enough, she didn't hesitate to continue. Clones are no different from us! They have lives too! So please, stop this experiment!
And if I were to refuse?
Then I'll make all this data public! The girl threatened, pulling out the data stick.
And you expect anyone to believe a child?
Even so, if I speak with the Hero Public Safety Commission, they'll surely shut it all down.
You poor thing. That very organization requested this experiment.
What?
Clones are no different from us, you say. You're exactly right. Both clones, as well as you test subjects, are nothing but guinea pigs for us to experiment on.
And with an evil smile, he snickered in front of the girl. You? Midori had enough of Garaki's crap, so breaking her container, she tried to form a liquid metal dagger. But before she could attack, she was beaten up by 2 armed soldiers who had sneaked behind her. Minutes later, she was thrown into a dark cube room, and as the door slowly closed, the barely conscious girl heard the doctor say,
"Remember this, you survived due to your latent quirk. In the future, you could be of use to us."
It concluded with the metal door locking away. From this moment on, the girl with the purple hair remained there with no hopes of escaping. A strange noise altered the girl who had fallen asleep. She didn't recognize such a sound. Slowly but surely, the door that had kept her imprisoned opened up, and a girl with long blonde hair stood there to help her.
"Can you stand?"
Misaki asked as she offered her hand. Midori couldn't believe this. Was it another dream? Who was this person saving her? So, without thinking, she accepted the delicate hand that pulled her onto her feet.
"Lean on me if needed. I'll get you out of here."
Shokuho slowly guided the girl throughout the facility, but at one point, the girl went on her own until she reached the window, looking at the shining city surrounding this place on this dark night. Seeing her reflection only confirmed it all. The poor, malnutritioned teen sought out retribution for what had been done to her and her friend.
"Look down at us all you want. I'll show you that even guinea pigs have fangs."
Misaki placed her hand on the girl's shoulder. She had read her mind as she had said that.
"We will, Midori. I promise."
Days later, once Kozaku's body stabilized, Shokuho took her to a facility a few towns away.
"Where are we?"
"In a secret facility belonging to the hero known as Recovery Girl," Mental Out answered. The intel from days prior had also included a hidden recording from her grandmother.
If you're hearing this, you must have found out about my misdeeds. Regardless, you must know that the girl you befriended was saved. Nobody else besides you and I know of this. Not even Garaki or All For One are aware of it. I'll leave the choice of what to do with the prototype to your own volition, Misaki.
"Don't think that this will make me forgive you," Shokuho thought after remembering it. "We are here to retrieve someone. Dolly had a sister created at the same time she was. She was created for more than just establishing their cloning ability. She was also an experiment into constructing an information-sharing network between clones. All of Dolly's memories and experiences were transferred to the other model, and they are still there, and that sister sleeps here."
Soon they reached the incubator pod and drained its fluids.
Me-chan?
The waking clone asked upon seeing her friend's face. Tears were streaming down.
"Yes."
While sobbing, she responded. This response made Dolly pull on Kozaku's cheeks, and in reaction, she pinched Dolly's nose, making her cry as she remembered those days that had been left behind. Those filled with laughter and fun alongside her dearest friend. Both girls held each other in a hug.
I missed you. I thought you hated me. That you found me creepy, so...
Don't be silly, Midori reassured. Of course I didn't.
What a nostalgic smell. It's Me-chan's smell, the one I love.
As the two girls had their heartfelt reunion, Shokuho hid away by a nearby pillar. After everything she had done, she didn't feel like she deserved this.
Wait!
Dolly had noticed the blonde leaving, so she called out,
You're Misaki, right?
"Oh? And who might that be?"
Putting up a front was the best she could do now.
I know it's you! You're the Misaki who's always with us in my dreams! After all, the time I spent with both you and Mittori were the only memories we had!
This broke apart Mental Out's fortress, and for once, she allowed herself to be herself, even if she was still unable to face the girl.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for deceiving you. I'm sorry for not catching on to the lie. I'm sorry for butting in on your memories. I'm sorry for getting lost in the comfortable lie. If I had looked into who Mi-chan was, I could have reunited her and Dolly. If I had known the truth of the experiment, I'm sure Dolly would have died. It's my fault for selfishly putting myself between the two of you. So I'll do anything to make up for it.
But a hug from behind stopped the girl from saying another word.
And take me to see the ocean. Let me ride a roller coaster at an amusement park. Let me see a hippo at the zoo. Oh, and I want to ride an airplane. And see the roar in Finland. And play with the dolphins in Hawaii. And the llamas in Machu Picchu. And then...
But thankfully, she was stopped as Mittori grabbed her. That is way too much stuff. Do you want to trip around the world? The prototype laughed and smiled.
But really, if we're all together, anywhere's fine. Can we at least do that?
Misaki tightened her grip, and she felt her eyes water up.
Honestly, I see you still ignore what everyone says and force your own opinion on them. Your selfish ability is way too strong.
Mental Out turned around to face her friend, and tears were streaming down her face.
There's just no arguing with you.
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. If you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of the namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Now on behalf of the We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fills your interest by joining the crewmate Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. And if you want more content from me, check out my Twitch live on Trina Do Heart and also my YouTube. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day. Jinsani's fever was starting to go down after 3 days of it being relatively high.
You feeling better, sis?
Ochako asked.
A little. The sports festival ended while I was out, so it's quite depressing. Hey, don't sulk on it. How about I take you out somewhere? Where would you like to go?
Uraraka said in the hopes of making her little sister feel better.
The beach!
10,032's eyes shine.
The beach? But summer's around the corner. I don't know why, but I feel like I want to make an exciting promise with someone important to me. Says Uraraka will overcome with a strange sentimental sense of deja vu.
Far away on the other side of Japan, 3 girls had just arrived at the beach. One of them was finally able to see the ocean like she always wanted. Their day was full of joys and wonders.